What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another Swift video. In today's video, we're going to be taking a deeper look at location in your iOS app. So specifically, we're going to be showing the user's current location. And the more interesting thing is we're going to look at reverse geocoding, which is the process of taking that location and getting the name of it. So pretty important for a lot of different apps. So here's the app we're going to be building. We see we've got a location permission prompt. When we select it, we've got Australia kind of hard-coded into the debug settings. It not only updates the app, but rather the location, but it also grabs the name of the location. And this is fully dynamic and works for all locations, not like hard-coded or anything. So we'll see how to put this together and how to make it a clean architecture and reusable pattern. So first and foremost, don't forget to hit that like button down below. Helps with all the videos, the channel at large. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Get excited, get Xcode ready. Let's talk about some advanced location stuff for your iOS apps. Quick pause before the video. This video is brought to you by iosacademy.io. If you're interested in building some of the top apps from around the world like YouTube, Instagram, Uber, and Facebook, head on over to iosacademy.io and toss in your email in the waitlist form here to be notified as content becomes available. Content includes interview prep, free courses, premium content, how to build TikTok, Messenger, Instagram, and anything else you could think of in between. That said, let's get into the video. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started by opening up Xcode and creating a new project here. We're gonna stick with the app template under iOS. And let's go ahead and give this a name of location names. Let's go ahead and change the interface and lifecycle. So storyboard, and this can remain as UI kit. And of course, make sure your language is Swift. Don't worry, we're not gonna work in the storyboard. We're gonna do everything programmatically, but let's go ahead and continue here. Let's save this project on to our desktop. And as soon as Xcode loads, let me go ahead and expand this. I've got a simulator opened up here. It's the 12 Pro Max. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hit the play button up here to get our project compiling and our app booted up here. And while it actually does that, let's go ahead and talk about what we need to do. So we're gonna jump into our view controller.swift file here. And we essentially need to do two things. So the app that you saw in the beginning, we not only showed a map with a pin for the user's location, but we also saw the name, of course, which is the main point of this video, of the location up here. So we first want to take care of showing a map with the user's location. So showing a map, we need to import mapKit, which contains the UI component to show a map. And that UI component is called a MK map view. So I'm going to create a private let map here with the anonymous closure pattern like so. It's just going to be a really simple map view. We're just going to return it just like that. And here in view did load, we are going to add it as a subview. We'll say map. And then in view did layout subviews, we are just going to give this guy a frame which will match the size of the controller. So we'll say map.frame is view.bounds. Go ahead and hit Command R and run, and you should now start seeing a map here. The next thing we want to do is set up all of our location business so we can get the user's location, and so we can reverse geocode a location's the actual name of said location. Before we actually do that, let's hop into the storyboard for a quick second, and I'm just going to embed this controller inside of a navigation controller so we can get that title bar. So let's go ahead and select the controller, come up to the toolbar and hit editor. And here we want to do embed in, and we want to embed it in a navigation controller just like that. And I'm also going to go ahead and change the style of this navigation bar to a large style, just like that. And we can jump back to the view controller now and start talking about location stuff. So we could do all the location stuff in here, but if we want it to be reusable and frankly a better design pattern, we probably want to create a different object to do location handling. So I'm going to right click this and create a new Swift file here. And we're going to go ahead and give this a name of location manager, since it's going to be managing all of our location related stuff. And we're going to create a class in here called the same thing, location manager. It's going to have a shared instance of it via the static shared property. This is the very basic singleton pattern. We also want to go ahead and import core location up here, since this is how we're going to go ahead and get the location. That's the framework that Apple provides. The next thing we want to do is create a location manager, which is a CL location manager. And let's see, what else do we want to do? So we probably want a function on here that the controller can call to get the current location. So I'm going to say public function get user location. And let's see, so this should have a completion handler in it. So we can send back the results. And we're going to send back a CL location, which is, represents a single location, just like that. This whole thing returns void, and we need to go ahead and make this escaping. So I'm going to put it in more parentheses and make it escaping just like that. We'll see why it needs to be escaping in just a moment. But in this function, we're going to say, first we need to request permission. So we're going to say request when in use authorization. So that's that prompt you see on your screen to get permission from the user to get their location. Then we're going to say manager delegate will be self. You'll see an error on this line when you add it, but we'll fix it in a moment. And then we're going to say start updating location like that. So to fix this error, we need to conform to CL location manager delegate. And this delegate has a bunch of functions, but the one we care about is updated locations. So let's see, location manager. Let's see which one we want here. So we've got quite a few. So we've got did update heading. We don't want that. Let's see, did update location. That looks to be correct as to what we want. So let's go ahead and add that. You'll see in here there's an array of locations that come in. We just want to get the first location out of that. So guard let location is locations, plural, dot first. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and return. And we have this completion that the caller is going to be passing in here. So what we want to go ahead and do is we can say self.completion is completion. And we can actually hold this completion handler as a global up here. So we can say completion is this guy optional. And then once we have a location in here, we can go ahead and call that completion handler with the given location. And we want to make sure we stop updating the location via the GPS so our user's phone doesn't freak out. Since we don't need the location anymore afterwards, it's good practice to stop updating it. Looks like we have another error up here. The way you need to go ahead and solve this is to have this class conform to NSObject. The short answer behind why you need this is because Location Manager has a Objective-C related dependency, and NSObject will get rid of that error for you and make your compiler nice and happy. So before we can go ahead and run it, we need to go to our info plist and just add the privacy key for locations. So we're going to say privacy, location, when in use. You should be able to hit tab to autocomplete it. Provide a string here. So we're going to say, please allow location access to use our app with a nice exclamation mark. And let's see, so we can go back to our view controller now and use that new function we created. So I'm going to call it at the bottom of view did load here. We're going to say location manager shared. And there's one function on here, which is get user location. Has a closure that comes back with a location. And once we get that location back, what we want to do is put a, an annotation pin on our map. Wherever that location is. We're going to say weak self here so we don't cause a memory leak. We're going to go to the main thread since we want to update the UI. We're going to unwrap that weak self. We're going to say strong self is self, just like that. And then we can just use this location to create a map pin. So I believe we can call it a pin, and it's a MK point annotation. And we can create it like that. And let's see, we're going to say pin.coordinates is going to be location.coordinates. This is the location our closure is giving back to us. And then we want to add it to the map. So we're going to say strongself.map, and we want to add an annotation. And this thing takes in an array of annotations or a single annotation. So I'm just going to say pin here. And let's see, what else do we want to go ahead and do? So on our actual map, we might want to also set the camera, what's actually called a coordinate span. And that's kind of how zoomed in our map is going to be. So we could go ahead and say, let's see if I can remember what it is. So let's see, set. So there's set visible map rect you can do. Let's see, set. We can set a region. You can set a camera directly too. So we're going to do a region. And this region is going to be an MK coordinate region. Animated will say true. It'll zoom in and make it look really cool. So this will be an MK coordinate region. And you create this with a center. And you can do this latitude, or you can do a center and span, actually. It's probably easier to do. So the center is going to be which coordinate, do you want to be centered? So we're going to say this is going to be a location dot coordinates. And then the span is going to be an MK coordinate span, which basically is a unnecessarily complicated way of saying how far do you want to be able to see in the area, aka the span, right? So how far zoomed in do you want? Generally, 0.7 or 0.8 is kind of what I like to use. We'll see what this looks like in a moment here, but we can always tweak this later on to meet our needs and look exactly how we want. So we should be able to run it now. The one thing you'll need to do is hit this thing and hit edit scheme so we can provide a kind of dummy location to test with. You're gonna hit this drop down and we're gonna pick, let's go with New York. And let's go ahead and hit that. And go ahead and hit your play button and we should be able to see the user's location now. So bear with your simulator. Sometimes the simulator is weird with location manager stuff, but looks like it's working here. It's requesting location. We're gonna allow it and it should zoom into our New York location and add a pin just like that. So looking pretty slick. Now the one thing you'll notice is we don't have a title up here. And what we wanna do is once the user gives us location permission, we not only wanna show their location, but we also want to put the title at the top there. So when the app loads, we're going to go ahead and say the title is home, but we need to add a new function to our location manager, and it should have the job of getting the location and showing it there. So cool, how do we do that? So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to refactor a little bit of this, and we're going to make all of this into its own function. So I'm going to grab these like 5 or 6 lines that basically put the pin on the map, and we're going to create a function of add map pin with location, which will be a CL location, just like that. You actually also want to come up here and import core location, since we're using core location stuff in here now. And in here, we can actually get rid of just strong self. Get rid of strong self there. Let me go ahead and line break all this stuff so it aligns a little better and it stops bugging me. And line break that and that. And now in this closure, we can just say strong self, and we can say add map pin with the location. And let's go ahead and do the location title. So the process of converting a location to the kind of friendly name is called reverse geocoding. So geocoding would be taking the name and getting the location coordinates, and the reverse of that is, basically the reverse. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is we are going to go back to the location manager, and we're going to add a clean function on here, and that's going to be able to resolve the location. So we're going to say public func, and this will be resolve location name with, let's say with location, and this will be a CL location, and this is going to have a completion handler. Once again, it's going to be escaping, and it's going to basically return to us the title. We're going to say this is string optional of the location we passed in. And the reason I did string optional is because if we're not able to go ahead and reverse geocode it, we want to pass back nil. So cool. So in here, we're going to go ahead and say we need a geocoder. So geocoder, which is, I believe, a CL geocoder, just like that. And this geocoder object has a function on it to reverse geocode. So you can say reverse geocode, and there's 2 of these. So if we take a look at them, This one also has a preferred locale, and you can, if you want to show the name in a particular format. So in some countries around the world, so here we're in the US, but in some Asian, language speaking countries, instead of doing the town or the city, comma, kind of the state or the jurisdiction, they actually do it the other way around. So you're given this in case you want to use, a different, like if you're targeting Chinese users, for example, right? I like to just pass in current here. But in this first parameter, we're going to pass in the location, which is a parameter we're passing in. And this here, this closure, gives you an array of CL place marks. So this is going to be place marks. And you also get an optional error in case, something has gone wrong. So here we're just going to say error, just like that. And we're just going to get the first place mark out of the array and get its name. So the reason you're given an array back is because a location might have multiple names in the geocode database. So we're going to say guard, first of all, that we have at least one place mark. We're going to say guard let place is place marks dot first. And then the next thing we're going to want to do is make sure the error is nil, so nothing went wrong. And if any of those don't hold up, we're going to say something failed. So we're going to call our completion handler with nil. Otherwise, on the place, we can actually get a bunch of things. So this has like a administrative area. It also has a locality. There's a bunch of things. There's a sublocality. So what I like to use is locality and administrative region. So I'm just going to print out the place here so you guys can see all the things available to you. And what I'm going to do is we're going to create a name as an empty string. And we're going to say the place dot locality. And you'll notice this is string optional. So what we're going to do is we're going to unwrap it. We're going to say if let locality is place.locality. We're going to append to our name the locality. And we're just going to do that for the administrative region as well, which would be like your state. So New York or California or like London. So here's the administrative region. I'm going to be lazy and call this admin region. And if it exists, we are going to append a comma plus the administrative region. And finally, the most important piece, we're just going to call the completion handler with the name just like that. So cool, let's see if this works. Let's go back to our view controller. And once we've added a pin here, what we want to do is start resolving that location. So at the bottom of this function that we refactored stuff out to, I'm going to go ahead and say location manager shared. And we want to go ahead and resolve the location with the location. And that's the parameter we're passing into here from the first location manager call. And the completion handler is going to give us a location name back. And what we're going to do in here is we're going to say self-optional.title is location name. And we did self-optional there to avoid a memory leak. So we want to go ahead and say weak self there. And that's it. That's all we'll need to do. Let's go ahead and run it and make sure it works. So we had New York selected explicitly in our scheme. So we should see that. And we see, boom, look at that. We've got the title showing up here too. So I want to show you guys one more thing. So we're printing out the place that we're resolving. And what you can see in here, ignoring this metal API thing, is the place has a bunch of stuff on it. So the first thing you'll see is that it's actually resolving a whole address. So this is 49th Street, West 47th Street, New York, New York. You've got the zip code here. You've got the country, of course, longitude, latitude. So if you wanted to show the whole location, you certainly can. Now, this is, of course, useful for any app that does anything location related. So weather, navigation, Uber, food delivery, et cetera, et cetera. But let's do one more example to make sure this works around the world. So we're going to hit this, edit scheme. And in the drop-down menu, let's go with the more exciting place. I'm going to go with, let's go with Sydney, Australia. That's the other corner of the world. So let's go ahead and hit the run button. You should see our map automatically animate all the way around the world and the title pop up here. All right, we're still in New York, New York, so that's not what we want. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hit debug. And there's another way where you can actually change the location somewhere in here that I can never remember. So let's see. We're gonna see features. location, and sometimes you have to change it here too. So I'm going to change this to be, let's do Apple. Let's see if that, if we run the app again, if that changes. Sometimes your code is correct, but the simulator just can't do its job. So don't worry if that is the case for you. So let's get rid of this pop-up. Let's try that one more time. And if it still gives us problem, we're just gonna reinstall the app. All right, we're still on New York, which is definitely not what we want. We're gonna delete this. Let's go ahead and pause that. We're gonna go ahead and delete this here and give it a run one more time. And it should either be Apple or Australia, but here we're gonna allow access, and you'll see now that it jumped to Sydney, Australia, NSW for all my Australian friends, you already know, but for everybody else, New South Wales. So boom, it definitely works. And right here, we have to reinstall it to get it to actually, cooperate with us. But on the actual simulator, or rather on the actual device, it'll just work seamlessly. And I can say that with confidence because I've used this in a lot of my own apps myself. So cool, that's all I've got for you guys. If you enjoyed the video and haven't done so already, make sure you destroy the like button for the YouTube algorithm. It helps out the video and channels quite a bit, helps me make more videos for all of you. If you're new to the channel and haven't subscribed or found this video helpful, hit subscribe down below to stay tuned for new iOS videos. Comment what are you guys' thoughts on this reverse geocoding stuff. There's other companies out there that give you APIs to do this, notably Google. But this is pretty clean, and it's also first party from Apple. So what do y'all think about it? Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.